Let's begin with a question that might strike a chord deep within you. Have you ever encountered an individual who walks into a room and, without uttering a single word or making any grand theatrical gesture, somehow instantly and effortlessly commands the attention and respect of everyone present? It's not because they are the loudest person there, or the most flamboyantly dressed, or because they are visibly, desperately trying to be the center of attention. Instead, there is something intangible, something almost magnetic about them, a quiet, resonant energy that feels both powerful and utterly effortless. This, right here, is the essence of silent attractiveness. It is a profound quality that has nothing to do with being the perpetual center of attention, and everything to do with commanding a deep, instinctual respect and genuine admiration without ever having to say very much at all. But here is the stark and uncomfortable truth that we must confront. The vast majority of people will never, ever possess this magnetic quality. Why is that? It is because they spend their entire lives begging for tiny scraps of external validation from others, burning themselves out in a frantic, exhausting effort to be seen and acknowledged, all while completely ignoring the cultivation of that quiet, inner strength that has the power to cut straight through the noise of the world without ever needing to make a sound. True, lasting presence is not built on cheap social tricks or a repertoire of learned behaviors. It is built on the unshakable foundation of rock-solid character, relentless discipline, and the profound courage required to stand completely alone, rooted in your own convictions, even when the crowd is loudly demanding that you follow along and conform. If you are truly ready to stop the endless, draining chase for external approval, and to instead start becoming the kind of person who naturally, effortlessly draws others in without ever seeming to try, then I want you to consider subscribing to this channel. For you, let this video be your very first decisive step toward the ultimate mastery of self, a journey where genuine growth, crystal clarity, and profound purpose will systematically replace the noise, the chaos, and that desperate, deeply ingrained need to constantly prove your worth to everyone else. The foundational principle: own your independence. There exists a certain type of person who can enter a space, and it is as if the very air in the room perceptibly shifts, charged with a new and different energy, yet they themselves haven't even spoken a single word. They aren't necessarily wearing the most expensive or loudest outfit in the room. They are not in the middle of telling the funniest or most captivating story, and they are most certainly not scrambling around, vying for anyone's attention or approval. What these individuals possess is something far rarer and more valuable than any of those superficial things. A deeply grounded, unshakable sense of self that is categorically impossible to fake or to manufacture. This kind of powerful, silent presence originates from a solid inner foundation, a core self that does not need to be constantly propped up, validated, or reassured by the ever-changing opinions and approval of other people. True independence begins with a subtle yet profoundly transformative internal shift. It is the conscious decision that your inherent value and self-worth do not hinge in any way on how many people like you, agree with your viewpoints, or actively validate your choices and your existence. In our modern world, where constant social comparison has become a reflexive habit and where public approval is often treated as a form of social currency, making this conscious choice is almost a revolutionary act. The ancient Stoic philosophers understood this dynamic on a deeply intuitive level. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, wisely advised, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about their opinion than our own." True, authentic independence is fundamentally about reversing that deeply ingrained imbalance. It is about learning to respect your own judgment, your own intuition, and your own inner compass, at least as much as, if not more than, the endless chorus of external voices and opinions that constantly surround you. This crucial shift does not mean that you shut out all feedback from the external world or that you become closed off to constructive criticism. Rather, it means that you have developed a strong enough internal compass, a clear sense of your own North Star, that you can thoughtfully consider advice and perspectives from others without being immediately blown off your chosen course by every single passing opinion or trend. Living life firmly on your own terms does not necessarily require grand, dramatic public gestures of defiance. In fact, it usually begins with much smaller, quieter, and far more deliberate actions that over time gradually strengthen your confidence and self-assurance from the inside out. Perhaps you can start by making small, everyday choices without immediately seeking or asking for someone else's approval or validation. Order the dish you actually want to eat at a restaurant without first checking to see what everyone else at the table is getting. Wear the jacket you genuinely love and feel great in, even if it is not considered to be in style this particular season. Spend a weekend doing something that truly excites and fulfills you, instead of doing something you feel you should be doing simply to appear busy, important, or successful in the eyes of others. However, it is critically important to understand a key nuance about independence. It is not the absence of connection or the refusal to form deep relationships with others. People often make the mistake of confusing healthy self-reliance with a stubborn refusal to ever let others in. But that is not a sign of strength. It is actually a form of fear, cleverly disguised as pride. Real, healthy independence means that you are capable of being deeply connected to others without becoming psychologically dependent on them for your sense of self-worth. You can genuinely enjoy companionship and intimacy without clinging to it out of desperation or neediness. You can take someone else's perspective thoughtfully into account without ever allowing it to replace or override your own core values and judgment. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." That essential bravery comes from trusting yourself deeply, trusting that you can stand alone if you ever need to, which, paradoxically, is what then allows you to engage with others more authentically and freely. You are not in relationships because you need someone else to complete you or to make you feel whole. You are in them because you consciously choose to share your already complete and whole self with another person. To truly get to that place of wholeness, you have to be willing to spend quality time with yourself, not out of a sense of loneliness or isolation, but out of a genuine interest and curiosity about your own inner world. For some people, that might mean sitting in complete silence for just 10 minutes each day, simply to reflect on how they are truly feeling. For others, it could mean taking themselves out for a coffee or for a long solo walk, without the constant distraction of music, podcasts, or their phone. At first, you might feel restless or even slightly anxious during these moments of solitude. That is perfectly natural. We have been culturally conditioned to fill every single gap of silence with noise, all to avoid the potentially uncomfortable act of confronting our own thoughts. But the more you consciously practice being alone with yourself, the more you will come to realize that solitude is not an empty, barren space. It is a fertile ground where profound clarity and self-knowledge can grow. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, put it plainly and powerfully. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Intangible. When you become truly comfortable in your own company, you naturally stop trying to control how others perceive you, and you begin to focus your energy exclusively on what you can control: your own actions, your own mindset, and your own core principles. This profound shift does not happen overnight. Building a robust sense of independence is very much like strengthening a muscle. It requires consistent use, patience, and a willingness to push through the initial discomfort. And yes, there will undoubtedly be moments when doubt creeps in. You might make a decision that others openly question or criticize. You might feel the sharp sting of disapproval from people whose opinions you once valued highly. This is exactly where the Stoic mindset becomes your most valuable shield. Remember that no one's approval can ever truly protect you from life's inevitable challenges, and conversely, no one's disapproval can ever strip you of your integrity unless you willingly hand them that power. The French Renaissance philosopher Michel de Montaigne once wrote, "The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself." That simple, elegant statement captures the quiet truth that lies at the very heart of independence. You belong to yourself first and foremost. A truly independent person also understands that life is not about constant resistance or rebellion. You do not have to prove your strength or independence in every single interaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to quietly, confidently follow your own path while gracefully allowing others to follow theirs without judgment or interference. Think about a mountain for a moment. It does not need to shout its height from the rooftops or aggressively defend its presence to anyone. It simply stands, majestic and unshaken through all seasons and all storms. In much the same way, when you live a life that is firmly aligned with your own values, your inherent stability becomes quietly evident to everyone around you. You will notice that people gradually begin to treat you differently, not because you loudly demanded their respect, but because your natural composure, your clarity of thought, and your deep self-trust quietly commanded it. This is precisely what makes independence so magnetic. Of course, cultivating this kind of independence requires rigorous honesty with oneself, the kind of honesty that forces you to ask the hard, uncomfortable questions. Am I actually living the life I truly want? Or am I living the life others expect me to live? Do I say yes to things out of a genuine desire or out of a fear that saying no will cost me someone's approval? Am I making choices because they align with my deepest principles or because they will make me look good in the eyes of others? These are not comfortable questions to sit with, but they are absolutely necessary for growth. As you practice this principle, you will find that you naturally begin to attract a different kind of attention into your life. Instead of constantly chasing after people and their approval, you will notice them starting to gravitate toward you, not because you are trying to impress them, but because they can intuitively sense your groundedness. There is an unspoken, powerful allure in someone who does not need the room's energy to feel alive, who is not easily swayed by every passing opinion, and who can enjoy their own company without ever feeling the need to apologize for it. In a culture that is utterly addicted to noise, constant display, and performative busyness, your calm self-assurance becomes a rare and incredibly valuable currency. And here's the beautiful irony in all of this. The more you learn to live for your own approval instead of everyone else's, the more respect you will ultimately earn from others. People instinctively trust those who know where they stand. They are naturally drawn to those who can make decisions without hesitation, not because they are stubborn or inflexible, but because they have already done the deep inner work of understanding themselves. You don't have to tell anyone that you are confident. They will feel it in your presence. You don't have to announce your independence to the world. It will show itself in the way you walk, in the way you listen intently to others, and in the way you can say no without guilt and yes without resentment. So start small. Take yourself somewhere you've always wanted to go just by yourself. Make one single decision today without first asking for input or validation from anyone else. Spend 1 full hour alone in complete silence, without feeling the need to fill that silence with distractions. Pay close attention to how it feels to rely on your own judgment, to stand firmly in your own certainty. These are the small, seemingly insignificant seeds from which a deep, unshakable independence will grow. And when it does finally take root, it becomes a fundamental part of you, a part that no one can ever take away from you. Because at the end of the day, true independence isn't about pushing the world away. It's about building yourself up so strong from the inside that the world's noise and demands simply cannot knock you down. It's about cultivating the kind of profound self-trust that allows you to move through life with a quiet, steady strength. And as the Stoics, the great philosophers, and modern psychologists all agree, that is the kind of power that truly lasts. Once you have it, you will find that you never need to chase respect again, because it will follow you wherever you go. The second principle: master silent elegance. There exists a certain kind of presence that feels as though it doesn't need to announce itself or make a grand entrance, and yet it lingers powerfully in people's minds long after the person has left the room. It is not the kind of presence that comes from wearing flashy, attention-grabbing clothes, from making a dramatic entrance, or from dominating every single conversation. No, it is something far subtler and far deeper than that. It is visible in the quiet, assured way someone carries themselves, in the way they seem completely unshaken by the chaos swirling around them, in the way they can hold space for others without ever feeling the need to compete for that space. This is what I call silent elegance, a form of power that is impossible to fake because it emanates authentically from the inside out. Silent elegance is built upon three main interconnected pillars: unshakable composure, intentional movement, and mindful interaction. Composure is the absolute foundation of this principle. It is the cultivated ability to remain psychologically and emotionally steady, regardless of what is going on in the external environment around you. The Stoics saw this quality of composure as one of the highest virtues a person could aspire to. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you learn to carry yourself with deep composure, it is as if you are non-verbally telling the world, "I am grounded, I am steady, I am not easily swayed by external circumstances." That quality alone is intensely magnetic. People instinctively notice when someone is not easily rattled by every slight shift in the conversation, by every awkward pause, or by every unexpected turn of events. The next essential pillar is intentional movement. This is all about how you choose to physically show up and occupy space in the world. This does not mean that you need to be rigid, overly formal, or stiff in your movements. In fact, stiffness is the enemy of true elegance. Instead, the goal is to focus on moving through the world in a way that is both calm and deliberately intentional. When you walk into a room, do so with a relaxed, open posture, shoulders slightly back and down, and your head held in a natural, neutral position. You're not holding it too high, as if you are looking down on people, nor are you holding it too low, as if you are trying to avoid being seen. Your steps should be unhurried, not so slow that they seem to drag, but paced in a way that non-verbally communicates to people that you are not in a frantic rush to prove anything to anyone. Eye contact is another major component of silent elegance, but it is often widely misunderstood. It is not about staring people down in an aggressive or confrontational way. It is about holding their gaze for just long enough to show that you are fully engaged and present, and then breaking that gaze naturally and comfortably. Too little eye contact can make you seem disconnected, shy, or insecure. Too much intense eye contact can feel confrontational, creepy, or overwhelming. The balance is key. And when you learn to pair steady, comfortable eye contact with a generally calm demeanor, you create an almost instant sense of trust and connection with others. But silent elegance is not only about your physical posture and how you move, it is also deeply connected to how you choose to interact with others on a social level. In our current culture, people often operate under the mistaken belief that you have to be the one who speaks the most, who tells the best and most captivating stories, or who is the most charismatic person in the room in order to make a strong and lasting impression. The counterintuitive truth is that you can often command far more respect and attention by listening with full intention than by talking endlessly. When you give someone your complete and undivided attention, nodding occasionally to show you are following along, asking thoughtful follow-up questions that demonstrate you are truly engaged, and making a conscious effort not to interrupt them. You make that person feel genuinely seen, heard, and valued. And when people feel valued in your presence, they will naturally and automatically associate you with feelings of warmth, trust, and confidence. Elegance also profoundly comes from the practice of restraint, the cultivated ability to know precisely when not to react immediately. In moments of conflict, tension, or social discomfort, most people feel a powerful urge to rush in and immediately fill the silence, to over-explain themselves, or to match and mirror the other person's heightened emotional energy. Silent elegance means having the discipline to resist that primal impulse. It means taking a deep, conscious breath before you respond. It means knowing on a deep level that sometimes the most powerful statement you can possibly make is the one you make without using any words at all. This does not mean that you are being passive or disengaged. It means that you are being highly intentional. When you learn to choose your words carefully and sparingly, people will naturally start listening to you more closely because they intuitively know that you do not waste your words lightly. Your personal style and grooming also play a significant role in this principle, though not in the way that most people might think. Silent elegance in appearance is not about wearing the most expensive designer labels or slavishly following every fleeting fashion trend. It is about a refined attention to detail, wearing clothes that fit your body well and flatter your shape, choosing colors that complement your natural complexion and energy, and maintaining a level of grooming that shows you care about the details and take pride in your presentation. You do not need to draw attention to yourself with bold, loud patterns or glittering, flashy accessories. In fact, a minimalist, refined approach often speaks far more loudly than extravagance ever could. The Stoics would likely call this living in harmony with nature, choosing what truly serves your purpose and enhances your presence, rather than what distracts from it. Just as Marcus Aurelius privately advised himself against the pursuit of unnecessary luxury, silent elegance in style is about wearing what enhances your natural presence rather than what overshadows it. There is also a crucial psychological element to silent elegance that people don't talk about nearly enough: self-respect. You cannot successfully fake elegance if you do not genuinely respect yourself, because that lack of self-respect will eventually reveal itself in the way you carry yourself, in your body language, and in your subtle energy. This is where Stoic philosophy offers us a much deeper layer of understanding. They believed that true beauty was never about the physical body at all, but was always about the quality and character of the soul. Your external elegance should ideally be a direct reflection of your internal state. If you are constantly filled with anxiety, bitterness, or judgment toward others, those negative states will inevitably seep into your body language and energy, no matter how polished or expensive your exterior may be. On the other hand, if you diligently cultivate internal virtues like gratitude, patience, and genuine humility, those positive qualities will naturally and effortlessly express themselves through your movements, your facial expressions, and your tone of voice. As Socrates famously said, the way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. Silent elegance also means being fully, completely present in the moment. It means that when you are with someone, you are not just half listening while simultaneously planning your next move or sneakily scrolling through your phone. You are fully there, mentally and emotionally, absorbing the moment and giving the other person the gift of your complete attention. This quality of deep presence is incredibly rare in today's distracted world, which is precisely why it is so impactful when people encounter it. People are instinctively drawn to those who make them feel, even if just for a few moments, like they are the only person in the room. That is not something you can fake. It is a natural byproduct of slowing down and consciously choosing to be mindful. Of course, mastering all of this takes consistent practice and self-awareness. The first step is always awareness itself. Pay close attention to how you typically enter a room. Notice how you hold your body when you are standing or sitting. Observe how you naturally respond to others in conversation. Ask yourself honest questions. Am I rushing? Am I fidgeting nervously? Am I speaking just to fill the uncomfortable space? Then, little by little, begin to make small intentional adjustments. Make an effort to stand a little taller. Practice speaking a little slower and more deliberately. Get into the habit of pausing for a breath before you answer a question. These small changes, practiced consistently, will compound over time, and soon they will become your natural default way of being. And it is vital to remember that elegance is not about achieving a state of perfection. In fact, trying too hard to appear perfect often destroys the very quality of effortless elegance you are trying to cultivate. People connect far more deeply with those who are graceful, yet still authentically human, confident, but also approachable and relatable. The Japanese concept of wabi-sabi teaches that there is a unique beauty in imperfection, and Stoic philosophy would strongly agree with this. Your value is not diminished by your flaws or humanity. As long as you carry yourself with humility and composure, your imperfections can actually make you more relatable and authentic. In the end, mastering silent elegance is less about learning how to look elegant and more about learning how to be elegant from the inside out. It's about bringing the very best version of yourself into every space you enter, not to prove anything to anyone else, but because that is simply who you are. When you learn to walk through the world with clear intention, to listen to others with genuine care, and to move with a calm self-assurance, you send a silent, powerful message that people can feel intuitively, even if they can't quite put it into words. And that is precisely why silent elegance is so lasting and memorable. It doesn't depend on external trends, wealth, or constant attention. It comes from within you, and it stays with you, no matter where you go or what you do. The third principle: cultivate a subtle signature scent. There are certain moments in life when a specific memory clings to you, not necessarily because of what someone said or did, but because of how they made you feel in that moment. And sometimes that powerful feeling is triggered by something as simple and primal as a person's scent. You might not even consciously notice it at first. It just lingers subtly in the air around them. A quiet whisper that attaches itself to a moment, a conversation, or an encounter. Then days, months, or even years later, you might catch that same distinct fragrance somewhere else entirely, and suddenly you are instantly transported right back to that specific memory. That is the quiet, profound power of a signature scent. It is not just perfume or cologne, it is a silent calling card, an invisible part of your presence that continues to speak about you long after you have physically left the room. The true beauty of a subtle, well-chosen signature scent lies in its restraint and subtlety. Too much fragrance can easily overwhelm and become off-putting. Too little, and it may disappear before it even has a chance to leave any kind of impression at all. The sweet spot is finding a fragrance that feels like a natural, seamless extension of who you are, something that smells clean, refined, and distinctively yours. This does not mean that you have to spend a small fortune on high-end designer brands. It means being intentional and thoughtful about the details, just as the Stoics believed in the importance of aligning your outer actions with your inner values. Your chosen scent should align with the energy and the image you wish to project out into the world. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." I would add that your overall presence, scent included, becomes subtly tinted with the quality of your conscious choices. The fragrance you choose to wear is one of those daily choices, a reflection of the care and intention you take in presenting yourself to the world. But here is where many people fundamentally misunderstand this concept. Choosing a signature scent is not primarily about impressing other people. It is, first and foremost, an act of self-respect. It is about knowing, on a deep level, that when you step into a room, every part of you, even the invisible atmospheric parts, is in a state of alignment and harmony. A well-maintained, intentional personal scent signals to others that you pay attention to details. It shows that you are a person who acts with intention and that you understand that the so-called little things are often not so little at all. Fragrance operates on a deeper, almost primal level than our other senses. Our sense of smell is directly and intimately connected to the brain's limbic system, which is the ancient part of our brain that governs emotions, memories, and instincts. That is why certain scents have the power to instantly transport us back to a specific moment or evoke a powerful feeling. Epictetus once taught, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." If you want to be remembered by others as someone who is calm, refined, or energizing, your chosen scent can serve as an anchor for that impression in people's minds. When you choose it with clear intention, it is no longer a random, arbitrary choice. It becomes a silent signature of your character. Your signature scent does not have to be something obvious, loud, or heavily perfumed. In fact, some of the most attractive and memorable scents are those that are barely noticeable. They blend so naturally with your own skin chemistry that people can't quite pinpoint what it is they are smelling. They just know that they find it appealing and that they want to be near it. Think of scents that evoke feelings of fresh laundry, clean skin, or subtle natural notes of wood, citrus, or spice. These kinds of fragrances tend to invite people in without ever overpowering them. Seneca once wrote that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication and that wisdom applies perfectly here. Your scent should enhance your presence, not distract from it. Of course, it is important to remember that scent is only one part of a much larger equation. It is a reflection of your overall personal care, which is an area where many people unfortunately miss the mark. No fragrance in the world can effectively cover for poor hygiene, unwashed clothes, or neglecting the basic fundamentals of grooming. A signature scent works best when it is the final, polished touch on a solid foundation of cleanliness and good grooming. It is like adding a beautiful, subtle frame to a well-painted picture. It serves to highlight and complement what is already there, rather than trying to mask flaws or deficiencies. Socrates put it beautifully when he said, "Be as you wish to seem." If you wish to seem elegant, disciplined, and composed, you must start by being those things in your daily habits and routines. Your scent will then simply act as an echo of those qualities. Creating a signature scent for yourself is also an act of self-awareness. It requires you to ask yourself some important questions. What specific feeling or impression do I want to leave behind in a room after I am gone? Do I want to project an aura of warmth and comfort, of freshness and clarity, of strength and intriguing mystery? Once you can identify the core feeling you want to evoke, you can then set about finding a scent that supports and enhances that intention. The Stoics often spoke of the importance of living in harmony with nature, and in this context, that means choosing a scent that feels authentic to your natural energy and personality, not something that feels like you are wearing a mask or pretending to be someone you are not. It is also worth remembering that your overall scent isn't only about the perfume or cologne you apply. It is also influenced by the soap you use, the detergent you wash your clothes with, and even the subtle aroma of your hair products. All of these elements work together in harmony to create your complete olfactory presence. Think of them as different instruments in an orchestra, all blending together to create one distinct, cohesive sound, or in this case, one distinct and memorable impression. Michel de Montaigne once said, "The greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself." A signature scent is a part of that belonging. It is about consciously choosing something that feels like home to you, something that feels intrinsically right and authentic, so that when others encounter it, they feel like they are meeting the truest, most genuine version of you. There is also a significant psychological edge to all of this. When you know that you smell good, when you have taken the time to carefully choose and apply your scent with intention, you inevitably carry yourself differently. You move with more innate confidence. You interact with others with more ease and self-assurance. And you project a subtle, unspoken confidence that people can pick up on intuitively, even if they can't quite articulate why. One of the most understated yet powerful benefits of a signature scent is its unique ability to make your presence linger in a space even after you have physically left. Not in a heavy, overpowering way, but in a gentle, almost ghostly reminder. A faint trace that keeps you present in someone's mind. That is a profoundly powerful effect, because it is not about forcing them to remember you. It is about giving them a positive sensory reason to remember you fondly. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus might frame it this way: aim to leave behind not just a memory of your words or your actions, but a feeling, an atmosphere, a trace of your essence that others can't quite shake. Now, this is where the discipline comes in. A signature scent works its magic because it is consistent. It is not something you change drastically every single week on a whim. Over time, people will gradually begin to associate that specific scent with you, and that consistency builds recognition and familiarity. In a way, it is like building a personal brand, something that is instantly familiar and that signals, non-verbally, I am here. Seneca might call this living according to your principles, even in the small things, because these small, consistent choices reflect the larger structure and integrity of your life. To begin building this habit, start small. Test out different scents and pay close attention to how you feel when you wear them. Do they make you feel energized, grounded, more at ease? Choose one that feels intrinsically right for you, and then make a commitment to stick with it. Make applying it a part of your daily routine, before important meetings, social events, or even just as a part of your morning ritual of preparation. Over time, it will become second nature to you, and so will the quiet confidence that comes with it. The truth is, the world tends to remember far less about what we say than about how we made them feel. A signature scent is one of those small, almost invisible tools that you can use to shape that feeling in a powerful and lasting way. It is quiet, it is deeply personal, and it is undeniably human. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, what is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bee. Taking conscious, intentional care of your own presence, down to the finest details, benefits not just you, but everyone you interact with. It makes their experience of you richer, more memorable, and more pleasant. So the next time you find yourself thinking about how to make a strong and lasting impression, remember this: your scent speaks about you long after you have stopped talking. It is not an act of vanity. It is an act of self-respect in its most subtle and elegant form. It is the invisible handshake, the quiet nod, the unspoken statement that you are a person who pays attention to the little things. And in a world that often rushes past the details, that quality alone can make you truly unforgettable. Hit subscribe now and see you in the next time.